Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Printing's Alive with me, your host, as usual, Warren Werbitt. Today, we have another special guest. As you know, all my guests are special. We have Jeff Bauer of Giraffe Inc. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
I'm
Thanks for
sorry that it's
joining me.
raining for you today.
Yeah, me too. I think we're having that El Nino summer where I have to try to fish during the week, work at night, and weekends because it always seems the weekend weather is awful. But I'll manage. I'll manage. So, everyone, thanks for joining. Basically, we're on this podcast today. Jeff actually had given me a call not long ago, reached out, wanted to talk about embellishment as he's a designer. But you know what, Jeff? Why don't you let everybody know what it is that you reaching out to me about, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I am, so there's the three biggest parts of the printing industry, which is the designers, the paper suppliers, and the printers. And I have recently gained an interest in all the technology that is on the market for printers to purchase these presses that do these amazing techniques, some of which I, go back, to my early days of the printing industry and 30 years ago that weren't around, but were born from the techniques that were established years ago doing thermography. Remember thermography? And interesting, techniques that I want to bring to do direct mail and grab people's attentions. So I've been just investigating what's out there on the market, and it's been a struggle. It's been a real struggle to find the printers within a radius of where I am, which is in Cleveland, Ohio. Within a drivable radius, so I can witness what they do, and if the time comes to doing little press checks to see the end results, I want to know who these printers are, and it's been a real struggle finding them. So I began to learn more and understand who in the embellishment world is developing the technology. And I've learned about Scodex. I've learned about, who am I thinking of?
GI,
Yeah, MGI, exactly.
Gandikar.
Yeah, all of them. And well, I wouldn't say all of them, but some primary ones that keep on coming up. Scodex has been kind of number one in that list. So then I'm like, all right, well, let's get on the web, see who these people are, try and find names of reps and things of that nature, and tried to reach out to them. These once I did, I mean, these people are fabulous.
Sorry. When you say trying to reach out, you're trying to reach out to reps from the press companies or
From
printers.
from the press, from the OEMs, the manufacturers of the presses.
Okay.
Going straight to the source.
Good idea. Good idea.
I've always been kind of that way, is just going, directly to the group or person that's doing whatever capability I'm looking for, and get what I need from them. So eventually, once I pushed them a little bit, I had, and these guys, I credit it to them just being really busy, and they're
okay. Hang on. You got to give a little bit more information because
okay.
And don't credit anyone with being busy. So let's just start over. So you've reached out to the OEMs, and were you able to reach anybody at the OEMs?
I found the reps. I found the names of the reps. LinkedIn was, that gave me the ability to do that.
Okay. And sorry, did you actually speak to any of these reps?
Reached out to them through email first.
Did they reply?
Did not reply. Did not hear from them.
Hang on. You reached out to some reps and they did not reply?
Did not reply.
Okay, so don't give me their name now. Give me their name after. No, give me the name after. Okay. So if people are listening and you're a rep for a company and you work and sell equipment, this is so critical. that you are checking your LinkedIn, that you are looking and you are replying. It might not be in your area, but you shouldn't care if you're a company person. Sorry, that was my little in the thing. So you reached out to reps from OEMs who did not get back to you. Did you reach anybody at the head office marketing or any of those people?
No, I just kind of, I was patient. I just, was patient about it. We're just waiting to see if I would hear back. And in that time frame, I should also input that, I learned about the guys over at Tactiful and what they were doing, which gave me a lot of inroad to, start developing some relationships with some people.
Yeah, so and Tactiful actually, Kevin Abergel, he's got a great company, and what he's trying to do is he's trying to bring all of the embellishment to the forefront and put it out there so that people are aware how to do it and all the stuff. So anyone listening, if you want to be into embellishment, it's not for everyone, but if you want to be in it, Tactiful is definitely a place where you want to be for information.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Definitely. Very
So okay, so you found out about Tactiful. What happened after Tactiful?
I met the guys at Tactiful, and they gave me, really a good education on who was doing what in the industry, what kind of techniques, and that education just, gave me just the nerve just to kind of reach out, bug these folks a little bit more, and finally I just kind of said, hey, I'm looking for this stuff. I'm looking for printers. I don't understand what capabilities are out there, and I need to see samples. That was the biggest issue. Was I just need to see what can be done.
Did you get samples?
I eventually did, and I got samples.
What does eventually mean? How long?
From originally reaching out to folks to the time I finally got some goodies in the mail was probably 2 months.
How much?
2 months. So,
Okay.
8 weeks, about 8 weeks.
So let me ask you, in that 8 weeks, did you speak to anyone? Did anyone reach out to you? What was the reason for the delay?
I don't know exactly what the reason was for the delay. I just think they were busy. But
I don't buy that bullshit. Yeah.
You don't buy it. Well, I just pushed a little bit. I sent a second and third email to some of these folks, and I think that was the signal to them that we've got a designer here who wants to learn more, and we let's send him some stuff. And I got some great goodies in the mail from Skodex. Being able to see the.
Well, you just gave away who took so long to send you samples.
Well, it wasn't just Skodex. It was.
Okay, give me all the other names. Once you gave me Skodex, they shouldn't be out there alone.
Yeah, no.
Who else?
Give me a second here. Give me a second. Who else was it? Konica Minolta.
Oh yeah.
And their machine. Those were the two that kept on coming up as
Well, actually, those are the two main ones. Konica Minolta
exactly.
has MGI, and Skodex is Skodex. So wow. So I'm sitting here, and for those listening, I'm trying to contain myself because and I'll tell you why. Because when I originally spoke with you, I was really pissed off. I was pissed off. I was disappointed, and I was disgusted with our industry. Because for the last so many years, the talk about embellishment has been really big. The push for it coming from the OEMs is huge. I mean, they're the ones who create the equipment, and then they want to sell the equipment and the consumables, and they should be the ones who are jumping at it. And to hear, first of all, to the salespeople on LinkedIn that you reached out to, if they worked for me, I would fire them on the spot. To receive a message from someone and asking and not to get back to them, or not to be looking at their LinkedIn, is shameful. For the OEMs to take 2 months is disgusting for what they're trying to do. And that's kind of scary because we have a designer, yourself, who wants to learn. There's debate going on now, maybe not a big debate, but within the industry, who needs to learn? Is it the designers? Is it the printers that need to learn how to design to do things so that they could tell their customers? I've always believed that you got to start with the designer, because the end user who's going to want it is going to listen to a designer and their suggestions about spending more money in finishing and embellishments than they are, a print salesperson. And I think most print owners know that if we suggest to upcharge on something, there's pushback. When a designer suggests to upcharge, to do something greater that costs more, it's a great idea. So I'm just kind of wow. And why an OEM, any of them, when they get a call, can't put a package out within 24 to 48 hours for you. They all have sample departments and they should all be ready to go. And then as a printer, to hear that break in the communication, I'm really concerned, because if they're not going to get back to the people who designed, do I really want to buy this machine? Will the machine do everything that I'm hoping it will do? Right? When I put in equipment with embellishments, you can't buy something, put it in, build it, and they will come. You have to start that before. And I just feel that the OEMs right now have already dropped the ball on a potential person who wants to know about embellishment.
Yeah.
So I'm like, and I don't want to shit on anybody, but I do, because there's no excuse. There's no excuse for any of them to not be there to help you. They should all have a portal for designers. If they don't, they should all have a designer hotline. If they don't, wow. But what I am happy to hear is that when you got the samples, you were most excited by them.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right. And then one other thing before, because I'm on that little rant, you say reaching out to printers. Did you inquire with the OEMs of any potential printers in your area?
I did, and I'm still struggling to get that information.
Hang on. You asked them who has your equipment that could do stuff for me, and they did not give you one name yet?
I'm still waiting. Unfortunately, yeah. And it's
you know what? I'm like, first of all, if we're in sales, anyone in sales has to get back right away. If you're asking for one of their customers, it's a little scary. If you are a customer to one of these companies, then it makes me feel I have to take what they say with a grain of salt, and not to be that they're going to, live up to everything they say. So there's a couple messages that are coming out of what you're saying to me as a printer that I'm really not, I'm not comfortable with. Right?
The work that I am seeking to do is, I'm a customer of the printer. And just like the paper industry, these guys, the paper industry, I get stuff from them all the time. And, I love it. I just, I get stuff in the mail, and it's the first thing I start opening and reading and getting into. If, where that gap is, I'm still trying to figure out, how do we solve that gap? Is it really the responsibility of the OEM to send me some stuff, or is it, a printer within, a relative distance of me to, send me samples and stuff? Again, I'm a customer of the printer. I'm not a customer of the OEM. So, where's that break?
So I'll say this: if you have to know the printer for them to know you to send stuff. So if you're asking about a printer who doesn't know you, why they're not sending you something, they don't know that you're there. That's the first thing. If you deal and you know of printing companies that you've dealt with that do embellishment, be it any type of UV or additional color, and they didn't notify you, then shame on them. And I'd like to know who they are, because I'm going to call them. Shame on them for not being proactive, because if you speak with Tactiful and you're a printer, one of the sessions that they offer is marketing for the printer, where they're, explaining, teaching, telling the printer the steps that they should take once they're implementing this type of equipment. And one of the things that's most important, that if you're a printer and you're going to get into the world of embellishments, whatever it might be, is you need to do your own stuff. You need to be able to send out and market what you do to let people know. And that's something that I always did when I had my shop. Every time we added something to it, whatever it was, even if it was a different way to staple, you got to do a sample and send it out. So if there are printers in your area, and I will help you identify them after, they definitely are screwing up by not sending out to you.
Yeah.
But even more so, I'm going to go back to the OEMs because they created this thing, this embellishment world. Not only should they be getting back to you in 24 to 48 hours, if they're smart, they're following up with you to see if there's anything else they could do, to get an opinion, to see if you have any questions, to see if they should connect you with anybody in particular in your area or not.
Well,
just
that's
for
what I would
conversation.
expect. That's what I was going after, is working the different sources and relationships with people to get to that point. I have my 5 go-to printers that I love, that I've been working with for 30 years, and none of them have the equipment yet. So that's what led to the search of who's out there that can do this stuff, because I want to use these techniques. I want to start incorporating them.
Where did you first come across embellishment where you saw something that made you think you wanted to do something with it?
I don't remember exactly where I was on the web. It was seeing a logo, Tactiful's logo, and that's what led me down the rabbit hole. A fun rabbit hole.
The stuff is really, listen, it's, if you go out there, honestly, embellishments are not for everyone. A, there's a cost to it. B, you have to be able to sell it and promote it. If you can't do it, then the printer should not be buying the equipment until then. For those that have it, they should be putting it out there and showing everything that they can do for people like you, right? Because how else do you know?
Yeah, it's, again, it comes down to who's the customer. For me, if I show these techniques to a client on a project that we're working on, I don't have to sell it. It sells itself in seconds. So incorporating some of these techniques, I've always tried to, do something unique with, whether it's direct mail, whether it's a print collateral, always putting something in there that just grabs people's attention. It works. I mean, that's the end of the story. People, are commenting on, printing's not going anywhere, blah, blah, blah. It's not true. Incorporating the digital with the touch, that's all it is being able to touch something and hold it in your hands. That does the sound.
Well, it's, and there's plenty of surveys, if you want to even talk at products and retail stores, that, products on the shelf that are embellished to, shine a little more, get better positioning, get better visibility. And then, they'll tell you that anyone who touches it has a higher percentage chance of purchasing it.
Yeah.
Versus not, right? And I'm going to go back to, I'm still reeling that the OEMs took 2 months to give it to you. And I mean, when they want a printer to buy a press, they don't walk away for 2 months. They're on the guy or the girl forever, right away, every day. But by taking their time, it's discouraging, and not to follow up again. I'm just, my head's just spinning a little, because, like I said, there's a major push out there from all the OEMs spending a lot of money to, to pump it up and to get it out and to educate. It's like almost as if the left hand and the right hand at some of these companies don't know what they're doing. Right? Wow.
The audience, their audience is, so I'm, a mid-sized design firm, the mid-sized design firms between 1 and 10, 15 people. And, then you have your solopreneurs, your independent designers working on projects. And that's the audience that I think is being missed. The big agencies, the names, the popular names that are out there, perhaps they're getting stuff.
I don't know about that. I don't know about the big names, and not even going to go there. It really goes like this. It's really simple. You reached out, you had an interest, and they didn't respond quick enough. And that's the issue that needs to be addressed by them, all of them, to make sure that if it's a printer or a designer or anybody reaching out to them that they get back because they're at the start of the line to promote it. And when you tell me something like that, if they're not moving, why would the printer want to move and do something? Right? So
Yeah,
it's kind of like the
yeah,
domino effect
yeah.
if one
That
doesn't do.
that is the struggle, and so I've been thinking, what are ways to fix it? Again, it's the sample. That's all they need to do. The OEMs just need to send the
Yeah.
samples, and I'm sold. I'm going to start incorporating the techniques that they are capable of doing. So it's that easy. So so what's the crux of between the printer, the OEM, and the designer?
Well, again, like I just said, like, so the printer, if they have you in their database and they do embellishments, you should be receiving something. So for any printer who's listening to me, hopefully you are, and you have any type of embellishment equipment, the only question I have for you is, have you printed out? Do you continue to print out different design and samples to send out? And do you actually send them out? And do your people phone to follow up to the people you've sent them to see what they think, if they have any interest, etc. I mean, that's a simple way for the communication to start, right?
Agreed. Yes, I agree.
That's for the printer, but the OEM, wow. I mean, they want to, some of the OEMs are going to talk with designers or reaching out to designers. So for them not to call back one or take their time when you reach out to them, it's a no-no. And I think that they should have almost like a hotline for embellishment. Actually, there you go, the embellishment hotline. The president has a hotline, and the president has a hotline, and Maxwell Smart had a hotline. So I think that they could bring back the hotline. They could embellish it too, and then have someone there ready to answer to get out right away.
Yeah, it's a cool idea.
It's pretty simple. And I think just too many of these people just try to complicate things too often, right? With all the big pushes, they should just go pretty simple and bring it in. Do you get paper samples from like Sappy paper?
I guess Sam Sappy, Nina, Domtar,
Like no,
everybody.
okay, like okay, good. No, Sappy. Has always been, from the day I started, my number one favorite sample paper supplier, sending me sample books, because they're all their color books, their UV books, their embellished UV sample books are really like the best of the best. And actually, I'll give kudos to Daniel Desjans, who used to do them all. He's no longer working with them. He's retired, but he started all of that. So yeah, so if you're getting them from the paper companies, then the OEMs, absolutely.
Yeah. I the samples that I get from any of the paper companies, whether it's their magazine, whether it's just they're releasing out a new paper. I get stuff that have some of these techniques in them. So that's the first introduction. I think if I think back and look back to how did I find out about this stuff, it would probably be because the paper companies are using these techniques in their samples. So
Yeah, a lot of them are
that's
making a lot of them are making their paper for digital machines, so that's why they're doing it, right? So it's a no-brainer. Let me ask you a question. What kind of clients do you have for design? And I'm asking that question because I just want people to hear who you're thinking about using some of the techniques for. You don't have to give me names because we don't want people calling them, but what areas are you dealing in?
so the nonprofit sector and raising funding, education, higher education. Those are actually tiered targets. You have your undergrad who you're sending stuff to. You have people that have been professionals for a couple of years, and then you have people who are who have been very successful and have alumni relationships with their university, that you send even more premium, either direct mail, or it's their fundraisers going and meeting one-on-one with a funder. I mean, those types of projects, we put little techniques in there, these premium projects, we put techniques in there for the fundraisers to go out and meet with their donors.
So
That's
I have a question. Sorry. So my question, because you mentioned direct mail. Are you aware that the US Post Office gives discounts on mail orders with embellishment?
oh yes, yes, absolutely. That's a huge positive when you're struggling to even ask your client whether or not they're interested in doing some direct mail. They the first thing is, direct mail doesn't work. Well, it does, and we can
Track
incorporate.
it, manage it. You can do everything to know,
Yeah,
actually.
and one of the big sells there is just mentioning the UPS or the United States Postal Service's programs for doing direct mail. They're great, and you could, it's a learning curve for any designer to go out there and understand what the post office is offering. People have such problems with the post office. I love the post office. I love what they're doing. They've really understood their market and reaching out to those direct mail, you know, companies, list providers, everybody in getting that information out there. And it's very relatively available on the web. I get stuff in the mail from them. So yeah, post office is a really good resource for designers.
Cool. So if you're a print owner, if you're a print salesperson, I don't know if you just heard what I heard. I heard that this designer is aware of the rebates for embellishment with the post office. So I ask you, salespeople, have you all reached out to all the designers that you know to discuss direct mail with them, to discuss embellishment, to discuss doing it for their clients? Because I think it would be easier if you reached out to some designers who have multiple clients, work with them, build that relationship and have them help you sell the embellishment to the client for direct mail, because there's a double return. The first return is that there's, a rebate for them if you don't want to keep it yourself. Now I just pop the lid on that one. But at the same time, the other benefit is, more money coming in if the pieces going out are what people want to see or excite them. It's like all of this is a no-brainer. I don't know why people make it so complicated and things take so long. It's incredible,
Well,
right? And
hopefully
fundraising today, I was going to say
our
fundraising
discussion here
today is
will,
important.
incentivize those folks. Just call me. I am out there. I want to know about this stuff. I want to know what the capabilities are because I want to use them. And I want to find my resources for using them.
And you've always done print. You've always designed for print.
Print is my first love. Back to, a little bit of history for me is back to when I was in high school. They had some printing presses that were, some Heidelberg 2-color printing presses that were dismantled. And I was like, hey, teacher, what are these things? How, can we do a printing class and stuff like that? And actually, the teacher that I had that following summer, or that summer that after that year of school, he managed to put together and get these machines working again and set up a class for printing. And that was my wow moment when I saw a blank piece of paper come out the other end with graphics on it. That's where my hook was. So I go back to, when I was 16, 17 years old, of being introduced to the printing world. Unfortunately, the web came around, and that's where we had to switch. How do we stay alive? And we had to start doing some web stuff. But last year,
Right.
I said, no more web. We are strictly going back to print. I'm in my last 10 years of my career, and I want to do the most amazing print that I can possibly do. And that involves finding out all the wonderful techniques and new technology that's out there. I mean, just, having a digital press these days. And I believe, 5, 10 years from now, is Offset even going to be around? Who knows? But the abilities and the capabilities have grown so much just in the last 15 years. And I unfortunately didn't pay attention enough to what was out there. But after making that decision of, I'm going back to what I love to do, it's been a no-brainer of finding out, who the companies are, get the sample books like you have behind you. And, it's actually been kind of fun, reintroducing myself to, all the good, cool things that are out there. I mean, these companies that are producing these embellishments and the technology, it blows my mind that we're able to do it.
That's great. So first of all, I want to welcome you back to print. We're happy you left the web and you came back to us, because we need we need all the people that we can get, right? Another thing is Offset will never go anywhere. Offset is still, in my opinion, gives you the best print quality out there. Digital has its place. Digital was made by manufacturers, just to sell a different machine, and then everyone's got their own story on what they like and why they don't like it. And digital has its advantages and its disadvantages. So for companies that perhaps have both sides of the equation, they're in a great place. Others, it's just digital. For me as an owner, digital just means you're always paying the OEM. With your press, eventually you own the press and you keep the money. But that's neither here nor there.
For me, being the designer, it's about it's about quantity. It's about my who's my audience, and being able to produce 100 pieces. If I have a premium piece I want to get in people's hands, and I only have 100, high targeted, highly good prospects to send stuff out there, digital's the way to go.
Yeah, it definitely has its place.
Yes.
And allows you to do a lot of things. It's not the end all of end all, but no, it definitely has its place. But what's most important with digital and Offset or anything that we're working with is the end users, designers, the end customers, they need to be properly informed. And from what I'm hearing, the salespeople are not even responding. And I know from my own experience that most salespeople out there are not capable of explaining properly how to do things. But then again, there's a lot of companies out there that don't provide their salespeople with a lot of training to understand what the cause and effect are with the digital. And I'm gonna give another plug to my buddy Kevin over at Tactiful. And really, actually, you know what? I have, I used to do some work with him, and I have one of the first pieces we did together, which is almost a relic now. But really, what he's doing, and with Eric Vessels, another fine gentleman, they're going in, they're working with the OEMs, and the OEMs are bringing them into their clients, and they're doing their best to help the owners learn about the embellishment, learn how to design for embellishment as well, how to market, how to plan your business, how to run, how to operate. So they really are a great outfit to be there, especially when a lot of people aren't really sure what to do. So for anyone listening, if it's not through the OEM, call Tactiful yourself. I promise you it's well worth the spend. If you use my name, Warren, ask them for the discount. They didn't give me a discount code, but we're going to force them to. So just call them up and say Warren. But really, like, they are the missing piece between the printer and the OEM and the designer, because they're working. Matt Redbeer, another fine giant gentleman, friendly giant, yeah. A big dude. He's not only is he a designer, but he's operated this equipment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're out there.
I haven't talked with Matt one-on-one yet, but that is in the in the works here to get some time with him. Yeah.
Sign. Go to the Tactisphere. Everybody who's listening, go to the Tactisphere. Sign up. When you sign up, you then have access to everything they're doing. Matt, I think, has a weekly or semi-weekly or bi-monthly, whatever, session for designers. So good place to meet him, to learn and meet other people. And then they have a whole forum that they've set up for people in design. So you and whoever else is part of it could speak to anyone else who's involved with it. Right. So,
yes.
So Tactiful. And I think Tactiful are the OEM's answer to the end users, because the OEMs, always want to show you, market, give you, and help you, but they're really only there to sell the boxes. So that's why they need a tactful. And I'm going to tell you that's why some print companies and design companies would need a tactful as well to help them get to the next level rather quickly.
Yeah. I guess that's, our takeaway there. It's they're designers sessions that Matt does. I've been to one so far. Next one's coming up, in the next week or so. And they're slowly attracting the designers to spend some time there. And it's, I think, one of the best resources I've ever in my career have come to learn about.
Well, I'm going to have to call Kevin after this recording just to tell him that, to give him a little more of a boost.
And they're at the conference today. Yeah. Lots of stuff going on there.
Oh, yeah. And well, this will be up later on, but the Embellishment conference is, again, it's a great conference. But again, anything that anyone's doing, you have to put the effort in to want to learn, right? If you're calling, like if I were you and I called whoever for samples, my personality, I'd be calling back every 3 days because I'm the customer. You shouldn't have to because you just get annoyed. But really, anyone out there who wants something, don't wait. Keep calling. You're the customer, right? And whoever you're dealing with, I'm sure when they want something on their own, they do the same thing on their side. So it's not about insulting, disrespecting anyone or bugging them. It's about getting what you want when you need it. And the truth is they need you to have it right away because you, in particular, were an interested, active person. Right?
And, well, and I take that back to my print experience. I'm a designer who came from that line of old and new.
I don't care where you came from. Well, I don't care what you do. All I care about is when you or anyone makes a phone call to a printer or an OEM, you get what you're asking for quickly because you need it. Everything else is just smoke and mirrors.
I agree, but there's a rationale and a reason for it. And it's because I have an interest. I'm a designer that has a really deep interest in printing. So I dig for that stuff. There are designers out there, who have been doing web for years and are starting to learn about the print, and they have not a clue of what's out.
Oh no, I agree with you. But what I'm saying is, I'm talking to the OEM and I'm talking to the printer to shake your ass and make it happen and don't be late. Why? Forget you, because they want to make money. And when they don't get back on time or in a timely manner, right, it's going to affect their bottom line. So yeah, everything you're saying is right. But I'm saying to them, just the fact that you want to make money and you're pushing, then you should be on it right away. That's all. There's no gray area. It's black and white for me, or full color. Depends how you want to look at it. Right?
I like full color.
But there's no excuses for certain things, right? If I have a customer who wants something, I get back to them right away. I don't make them wait a day, a week, or a month. And if there's a delay, I'm calling back at least to say, hey, we're just remaking those samples. I'll get them to you in 10 days when they're ready. But a month or two, no, that's the shit that throws me off. Forget OEMs. It doesn't anybody. No one should wait a month or two if they're asking for something, or at least get a proper answer. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So let me ask you, you got some samples. Have you designed anything yet?
We are working on it. We are working on some projects and have not yet shown them to clients. And that's another crux that we get into, but there are solutions that, again, Tactful is working on. But when I got to go and present concepts to a client, how do I tell them about a technique? It's you can't tell them. You have to show them. So I show them.
So right.
Go on. Yeah.
No, sorry. So you're going to show them samples you have in hand, but at the same time, if you have Tactful, and at the same time for software and color management metallics, you have another company called Color Logic, which also has a displayer, and you either send it to them on their computer or you go over there with your laptop to show it on the computer, and then you could have some hand samples, to show them. Now, another thing for printers that are listening, if you have that equipment, you should be, if you have that equipment and you're doing a job for a customer, maybe ask the designer, if it's working with a designer, if they could maybe alter it a little bit for you, pay them, but then you could make your own samples with your name on it and run it to give it out. The
Yes.
easiest thing to do is to add on when you're doing other work, because we know we never have time to do our own, or it's an easy way around it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And that would be so cool. The designers would flip for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
there's no secrets. It's just the easiest way to do things.
yeah. And again, it sells itself in seconds. You just have to show it to the client,
You don't
and
have,
they're like,
you're talking to the converted,
yeah.
right?
So
When you bring even a simple business card, when you've got multiple finishings on it and you give it to somebody, they're in their hand and they're just feeling it,
yeah,
right? It's
I
like
have
rubbing
an
for a
engraved,
genie.
yeah, I have an engraved business card with the our giraffe logo on it, and people touch it all the time. They feel it, and it's like, oh, that's pretty cool, and stuff. So
Yeah, listen,
yeah,
people, a lot of people don't use business cards. Everyone should have a business card, even if you give it to a person who throws it out. I think people keep the nicer ones, they keep the better ones, they look at it longer, they feel it longer, and if nothing else, it gives them an everlasting impression and remembrance of where they got it when they stand out, right? And if you're a printer and you don't have a business card, shame on you. You should be printing everything all the time. I can't stress that enough. We don't stop. We like the other shit, but we print, 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 and print.
yeah,
And then you can embellish it so the print's nicer.
yeah. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a little selector of business card size of all their techniques that they are able to do, and just hand that to
Well,
a designer? That would be the designer's like little treasure. So
there are people who do like the Pantone books like the Pantone books are made, and they do different samples. Some do it just for paper samples, some do it for finishing. Pantone does it for color. Color
yeah,
Logic in their software has it all set up that if you have a digital press with multiple color and you want to print out a sample book with 1,000 shades, they have it set up to do. So it's readily and easily available. Again, if you're a printer, I'm sure you've picked up one or two ideas that you can do to reach out to designers just from listening to what we were talking about. It's not a joke. It's really easy. It's really simple.
and
So make it a point.
yeah, me being a print designer, we love to talk to printers. We love going and visiting their shops and seeing what they can do, and if they're running
Yeah.
something, we just
Hey,
I mean, this is
if you're
just
listening and if you're listening and you're a printer and you put in some embellishment equipment, I sure hope you had an open house or did something to bring people in. I hope your invitation was the hottest looking invitation ever. If you're listening to me, folks, this is free information, easy stuff to do. We're sitting with a designer who wasn't happy because he reached out and didn't get information quick enough. Just make sure all your other customers are happy. I mean, it's really simple. Wow. Anyways, that's some good stuff.
thank you for the time. I appreciate it. And
Yeah, no, but listen, I want samples from you of your first couple jobs that you do that are embellished. We could speak after, and I will help find you a printer or two in your area that's capable of helping you out, right?
yeah,
If you listen to this podcast later on, where are you located exactly? Don't give me your address. Give me your area. What area are you living or working in?
where I am, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, right on the lake.
Okay,
If you
perfect.
like to fish,
Absolutely. Actually, I fished in one of your rivers there one time. But yeah, so if you're listening and you've listened to this podcast, Giraffe Inc., reach out to him. Reach out to him because you have a good sample. Reach out because maybe you want him as a customer. Reach out just because you have an opportunity. If you don't reach out, you for sure don't have an opportunity, right?
yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
you're gonna
and
do two things. You're
I
gonna
invite
let me
them all.
know. Yeah, listen, conversations are good. Everybody learns something, right? But so I want 2 things from you, maybe 3. I want samples when you first print something so that I could talk and show about it because of this. I want to know if printers are calling you or if you've gotten any calls. Just, I'd be curious to know who listens and who reacts. I'm curious if the people that you never called you back actually do call you back, now that they may have heard this because they're feeling shameful for not calling you back. But and then we'll go from there. So, I thank you for calling me and reaching out with your thoughts, because they happen to be really good ones.
Yeah,
you're welcome. And if these conversations could help a printer, an OEM, a designer, or an end customer, that's why we're having them. So, wow, great topic. Don't always like talking about the same old stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate your forum too, being able to do these casts.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Yeah.
So, again, I hope you all made it to the end. If you made it to the end and you thought it was useful and important, please pass it on. Please talk about it. If anybody wants to have a conversation about anything, please call me. If you'd like to be a guest because you've got something you want other people to know, please call me. And on top of that, I just want to thank everybody for the support and for taking their time and listening to what people have to say on this podcast. We will see you soon on the next one.
All right. Thanks, Warren. Appreciate it. I'll let you know the first time the phone rings.
I'll be waiting.
Okay.
Cheers, all.
Thanks. Have a good weekend.
Don't hang up.